Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of We Should Have Recorded That with Phil and
Adam.
All right. Hello, Adam.
I'm sorry. I need to vary it week by week.
Okay.
Sometimes I'm too fast, sometimes I'm too slow, and this time I wasn't just slow, I was slow motion.
Hey, if whatever floats your boat. That's
Can I tell you a story? I don't want to spend too much time. I'm sorry to be off task already in the 30th second of our episode, but can I tell you a story about my most vivid memory of the idiom, whatever floats your boat?
What's that?
I remember being in probably middle school PE, and my friend David, I don't even remember what we were talking about, but I do remember that I repeated a phrase that I heard adults say. I said, well, whatever floats your boat. And
Right.
David said to me, that's what my mom says about my gay uncle.
Okay.
Oh, I've never forgotten that.
Yeah. Whatever floats your boat.
So, anyway, Phil, has any of our myriad fans left us a comment or anything?
I don't believe we have any comments this week. Not that I know of.
They're letting us down.
Yeah, it's okay.
So,
You're all right.
dear listeners, if you have not yet sent in a comment in written form or in voice recorded form, we desire your feedback. So,
Yes, we do.
Phil, how can they get a hold of us?
So we are on several social media platforms, Facebook and Instagram by WSRTwPA. You can also find us on YouTube by the title of our podcast. We should have recorded that. We're feeling out.
Awesome. Phil, what are we going to talk about today? And what makes today such a special day?
Well, so today, I went and got my t-shirt. This is from 2017. I got it 2017, 2018. So today we are talking about concert programming. And what is special is that we're going to have several current chorale members kind of pop in and talk to us about that.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this episode. I'm excited to get back to a musical topic. I love, actually, that our conversations have such a broad range of topics, from theology to just living to politics but our home base. Our comfort zone is music. So I'm very excited to be talking about music again and to be talking about, constructing a meaningful program of choral repertoire and how I go about that process. That's the first reason I'm excited. Second reason I'm excited is brings me even more joy, and that is that several of my current students are going to pop in to this podcast and say a few words about their experience of singing choral music and how that has impacted them. So, Phil, are we ready to talk to a member now?
Yes, we have two with us, so we can we can start. We can start talking to people.
Awesome. So we'll just go one at a time with the two who are currently in our Zoom room ready for us, and just ask you a couple of questions each. So, Abby Green, would you just tell us a little bit about who you are, what you're studying, where you're from, your dreams and aspirations, etc., etc.
Oh, okay. Hi, I'm Abby. I'm from Lansdale, Pennsylvania, which is right outside of Philadelphia. I'm a junior here at Roberts. I'm studying choral music education. And I guess, what is it, like my greatest aspirations in life, I suppose. Well, right out of undergrad, I'd like to go to grad school for performing and try and have a performing career. And that's kind of like the short term. And then long term, I'm thinking I'd love to have my own studio, private opera students, and teach, kind of like how my voice teacher does, do a lot of pedagogical stuff, help stage some operas, stuff like that, at a school.
Yes, very cool. And since we have another in the room right now, I'm going to ask her to introduce herself as well. So Megan Tatro, who are you?
Hi, I'm Megan Tatro, and I'm also a junior music education major here at Roberts Wesleyan College. Woohoo! And I am, like I said, studying music education, and I am going to pursue a career in choral conducting, which is super cool. And I work with Dr. Potter a lot, which is so fun. And my biggest aspiration, I think, would to be I think I want to conduct at a university level eventually, which would just be really, really cool, because actually it's kind of perfect that we're talking about repertoire today, because I think that's a lot of the reason why I want to be at such a high level is because I want to perform high level repertoire. So
I love that. And Megan, since you began talking, we have a third guest who's popped into our room. I love, Phil, this was your idea to have pop-in guests for this week's episode, and I love this. So Lillian Getzman, just tell us who you are, where you're from, what you're doing, and your dreams and aspirations in life.
Yeah, so I am Lillian Getzman. I am a student at Roberts Wesleyan. I'm in my senior year. I'm at the part where I'm student teaching. I absolutely love it. My goal is to end up teaching choir in middle school.
Awesome.
I'm from Rochester, New York as well, so
yay. All right, so Abby, back to you, and Megan and Lillian, you can be thinking about this question as well while Abby is telling us. Is there an experience that you have had singing in choir that just sticks out in your memory above all of your other memories?
Oh, you got right into it there. I don't know, this whole coming to college and singing in a choir has been a really unique experience for me, because in high school I was a jock. I didn't really do music. That wasn't, something we did. I kind of decided to do music somewhat on a whim, not really, but I decided my senior year of high school that, I guess I'll do this. So just being in a choir in general has been a really unique experience for me. It's kind of like being on a team, but it's also kind of individualistic, at least the way we do it in the Roberts Chorale. So, there have been a lot of really cool moments, but I think one of my favorite moments, choral experiences that I've had while I've been here is, we performed Messiah last year, and we sang the Hallelujah chorus. And you sing it sometimes, I don't know, if you have a really good church, sometimes you sing it in church, or you sing it with little choirs here and there. But to sing the Hallelujah chorus with a professional ensemble, to sing Messiah with professional, a collegiate level ensemble, was really cool. That was a really unique experience. And I don't know, I always like to say that a choir is a taste of what we're going to be doing in the next life. We're going to have
yeah.
It's a nice preview. It got me excited, for what's to come.
Yes, I love that. Thanks, Abby. Abby, I'll be thinking about this while I talk to Megan and Lillian, but I'm going to come back to you and I'm going to ask you why Messiah as a piece of music was so impactful to you. But first, Maggie, is there an experience of singing choral music that really sticks out in your memory?
Yeah, and it actually does also involve the Roberts Chorale. And I will preface by saying it is because I think, at least in my life, there is no experience where I experience God so clearly and so fully than singing choral music. I think that is something that I've discovered, at least in my own faith. I go a lot on just like my knowledge of like God is there, he is with me, but I don't always feel him. Like some people they feel the Spirit often, and that's not how my faith is or has been. But when I'm singing his praises in a choral setting, like there is nothing like that experience. So with that preface, I think the program that we sang last year was just so moving. We went from this place of just darkness and anger and hatred and all of the things that we feel often, but we don't want to feel. And then it was just this journey of redemption and seeing the light and knowing Christ and knowing who we are in Christ. And that was just singing that program over and over again was so cathartic and so healing, because you get to experience, even if in your own life you aren't feeling the resolution, at least for the program, you get to feel the resolution. So I think that was just really, really healing and made me fall so madly in love with choral music. It's insane.
Awesome. Thank you, Megan. And yeah, Megan, that's the perfect memory to highlight, since we're talking about programming today, and we will talk a little bit about programming thematically, which last year's program, which was titled Through the Storm, Lead Me to the Light, is, well, I'll just say this, is the best thematic programming I've ever done. So we'll talk about a little bit about that. Okay. Lillian Getzman, what's your memory?
So last year, adding on to what Maggie said, we did this one piece, Entreat Me Not to Leave You. And I have yet to experience such a feeling of raw emotion and euphoria at that level. You sing music with keeping in mind of values and past experiences, and for Christians like me, your relationship with God, a very personal, private thing that when you sing is emotional. Singing Entreat Me Not to Leave You was so overwhelming as a singer, because it gave you an opportunity to sing about somebody who was your role model. The role model that I was singing to was my Opa. He was a deacon in the Catholic Church. I looked up to him very much, but unfortunately he passed away when I was very young. And it was like losing my father figure. So that entire time, I couldn't even sing some of the parts because I was just so deeply rooted in the music and the message of entreat me not to leave you. God, no matter how far I stray, let me keep looking for you. Let me keep finding ways to meet you somewhere. And even in rehearsal, there's one rehearsal in particular that will just forever be a picture in my mind of when we all stopped. We pinpointed that one special memory that we thought of.
Yes.
We sang it and we stopped because we couldn't get through the lyrics. We couldn't get through the music because we were all so deeply tied to the music and to the text and with our own spirituality, connecting with God. And that forever has changed choral music. And knowing that that is what can be happening for our audience is what is the really big revelation that I took away from that as a future conductor and as a future music educator.
Thank you, ladies, so much. Phil, you are a choral singer as well, even though you have graduated from college. Do you have a memory that sticks out to you?
I mean, I think I have so many. Like in talking, listening to everyone else speaking, like has brought back so many memories for me. I think I will continue with what Lillian was sharing. So I don't know if you all could see this. We were singing "Entreat Me Not to Leave You," and I was telling Wendy about it, and she found this somewhere. I don't know where she had it from. Hobby Lobby, it says on the back of Hobby Lobby. And and it says that where you go, I will go, and where you stay, I will stay. Mm-hmm. And I have that. I actually have that hanging on my mic stand here. So anytime you've heard anything clinking, it's this thing on my mic. So you just heard it, and so just like Lily was sharing, just the whole idea of I'm tied to you, and even the just the story of Ruth. Like these people, like Ruth was not tied to. Naomi by blood. Like she was tied to her because out of a desire and just the passion in that song. Yeah, it's every time. I like, and like Megan was saying, like by the last concert, and I think I've shared this before, by the last concert, I'm almost like crying it throughout every piece because you've sung it so much. And, and I think you've helped us to say, listen for this part, or where is the important part? Hear the important part. And by at least, hopefully by that last concert on tour, you understand, okay, my part is not always important, and hearing hearing the other important parts. So yeah, anyway.
Yeah. Thank you, Phil. I love that all of us have talked about the power of the music. And I think, in one of the first episodes that Phil and I did on this show, we talked about servant leadership. And one of the characteristics of a conductor who is acting as a servant leader is that that leader, in service to his or her ensemble, deflects anything from themselves. It is about the members of the ensemble. It is about the music. It is about the audience. It is not about the conductor. So I am beyond grateful that without any planting of a seed, none of you mentioned me. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. That is, if you had been like, I love choir because of Dr. Potter, then I would have failed. I think instead you love choir in spite of Dr. Potter. Now, Abby, you had, I want to go back to you, Abby, real quick, because the rest of us talked about the music. You mentioned the music, and now I want to go back to that question I prepared you for. What was it about Messiah that impacted you so deeply?
I think, I don't know, Messiah is just such, like, the way Handel wrote, first of all, for vocalists in general, he really understood how the voice works, how it moves, how it wants to move. So I feel like there's hardly ever a Handel aria, from the simplest of things to the greatest of things, a Handel cantata, a Handel anything really for vocals that I don't really enjoy, because he just really knew how God created the voice. And I think that is reflected in Messiah, the concept of the voice as God's instrument, which is why I loved it so much, because I felt like the whole time, as a performer, whether you're a soloist or a choral singer, a conductor, whatever, you want God to inhabit your body. You want to be a vessel for his message, what he wants to say. It doesn't matter the piece, you're speaking what he wants you to say. And I felt like for Messiah, like that was the first real moment where that clicked in my head, where we are not, as performers, vessels for our own truth. What we have to say, what I have to say doesn't matter. What matters. And I think the first time we sang it with the orchestra is when I really got it. And I was like, this isn't about any of us right now and how we do the sounds that we make. I could crack on this note that I've been practicing for a month, and it doesn't matter, because that's saying what God wants me to say, no matter how I think it sounds, which is something deeply impactful, because I feel like most of us as musicians are such perfectionists. So that's why I like Messiah, is because I tie that kind of thought to the music. And because of course Handel he always writes a sick vocal line. It's always good. Every part's good. Like, especially as an alto, I'm always salty. Like, oh, the alto line stinks. Every alto line Handel writes is glorious. So,
Yes. Yeah. No, that's very true. That's very true. Right. Well, ladies, our concept today is pop in. So you're welcome to stay with us if you want. And if you do, I may throw another question your way. But you're also free to go while Phil and I talk about programming thematically. And if you do sign off now, just know that you go with our gratitude. Thank you so much.
And I want to say before you leave, if you decide to stay, you can also participate with us in our final two segments. I don't know, as a carrot to have you stay. I'll tell you really quickly, the last two segments are current events and then what we learned. And so if you want to share a current event that other people, our 20-member audience will hear, you can also stay. So.
Oh, come on, Phil. We've got more than 20 downloads, don't we?
I mean, we average around 20 a week. So.
Oh, per week. Oh, that's
fine.
Per week. I thought you meant like 20 total over the course of our 25 episodes. And I'm like, there are episodes we made that no one listens to.
No. We average around 20 per week. So.
That's like the definition of the 21st century, just throwing things into the void.
Yes.
All right. So I want to talk about concert programming then. And the nerdy teacher that I am, for anyone who is interested in this conversation, I'm going to throw up a few documents on the website, which is adampottermusic.com/podcast. And the first thing that I'll throw up there is a document called Choosing High Quality Repertoire. And the concept is, and I don't think that many of our 20 people are, I don't know. Phil, do you have any sense of how many of our 20 people are other music teachers, choral music educators?
Yeah, I don't really have an idea because, we don't, among the interactions, no one has said. So,
okay, well,
don't have an idea.
If you are not a music educator and you are listening to this right now, I hope you can draw some transfers into your own life. And if not, I apologize for boring you. But basically, here is how I think too many of us think about programming for a concert. Oh, I like this piece. Oh, I like this other piece. Oh, I like this other piece. And oh, I like this fourth piece. And you have four pieces that are completely unrelated to one another thematically. All four of them are in 4/4. All four of them are in a major key. All four of them are like mid-tempo. All four. Okay. And so then your concert, let's say your hypothetical concert, here's those four pieces. It has neither a theme that can evolve and grow and really get into your students and your audience's heart, nor does it teach a variety of skills and provide a variety of experiences. So, in general, my programming, I think of it in three ways. Every piece that I choose has to accomplish all three goals. And if it doesn't, that doesn't mean it is not a good piece. It just means that it doesn't belong in this concert's program. I can save it for the next concert. I can save it for next year. I've got plenty of years of teaching ahead of me. I will get to it, I promise. But every piece has to reach all three criteria, and those criteria are these. 1, it must teach skills. That means that it's going to be teaching rhythmic or pitch skills. We call those music literacy. It's going to be teaching vocal skills, whether that be breathing or phonation or registration or resonation or articulation or coordination. And it will be teaching ensemble or listening skills like rhythmic unification, vowel unification, intonation, balance, singing multiple parts, etc. Okay, so it has to be educational. If it's not going to teach some skills or at least reinforce some skills, then choose a different group to do it with. All right. Second, it needs to provide an experience that is unlike the experience of the other pieces in the concert. So when I say it needs to provide an experience, what I'm really saying is that it needs to contribute to the variety and diversity of that concert's program. If it is a piece from the Renaissance, but there's another piece from the Renaissance that I've already definitely chosen for the concert, well, if this is a 4-piece concert, I ain't gonna choose 2 Renaissance pieces. That's 50% of the concert, and I don't know. That just doesn't seem like a great use of our time. I love Renaissance music, but there are way more style periods than just the Renaissance, okay? If I only have a 4-piece concert and I already have a spiritual, I probably won't choose 2 spirituals. All right. So criterion 1, it must teach skills. Criterion 2, it must provide a unique experience for that concert. And criterion 3, and this is probably the toughest of all, it needs to fit the theme of the concert. If I have chosen the theme of animals, and I have a song about birds, and a song about butterflies, and a song about dogs, and then I just really want to do the song about potatoes, I should rethink choosing the song about potatoes. It doesn't belong. Now, I hopefully will not choose a concert theme quite as hokey as animals, although I could. There's choral music about everything. I try to choose concert themes that take the students and the audience on an emotional journey. So, past programs where I've done this, of course I can't remember them right now. This year's program is called When I Am Weak, You Are Strong. So, leading from Psalms of Assurance to the words of Christ to persevering through adversity. Last year's program for my choir at Roberts Wesleyan College was Through the Storm, Lead Me to the Light. So I found music that was stormy and angry and angsty, and then you see the light emerge in the repertoire until it emerges into just complete, utter joy and peace. Year before that, tour program that we took to France was called My Life, A Reflection of Yours. And so that was interesting because all 4 sections of the concert were centered around the concept of light, with the central theme of our lives reflecting the light of our Savior, Jesus Christ. So that's how I think about programming thematically. And I think we as choral musicians are just so blessed to have more repertoire than anyone. I mean, choral music is the oldest form of Western music. It is, so we've got music from the Middle Ages that we still have preserved for us. We all the way down to the 21st century to things that were written today. And so because we have such a richness of repertoire, just countless untold treasure troves of music, I don't feel like I ever have to choose a piece that doesn't meet all three criterion. I might have to look more, I might have to look harder, I might have to go online and search at 2 a.m. You know, that's a great activity if you ever can't get sleep. Just, there's so much great music in the world. But I just never feel like I have to program something unless it is going to teach skills, it is going to provide a unique experience, and it is going to contribute to the emotional arc of the overall concert.
Adam,
all right, now Phil, I feel like I have talked way too long. Please interrupt me.
So I just want to interject and ask our guests who are still with us, when or maybe did you always realize there was a theme to the concerts? And if you didn't, when did that moment hit you that, man, all of these songs are connected? I guess we'll kind of go Abby, Megan, Lily.
Can I go last? I need to think about my answer.
Okay, Megan had her hand up.
Maggie, what about you? Because Phil is right. For our audience, who, you know, probably most of them have not sung under me, lucky them, they don't know, I'm not always explicit about how a piece might fit into the theme. So Maggie, tell us from your perspective.
Yeah, so I think my freshman year when we went to France, I knew that there was a theme, but I wasn't singing through the theme, if that makes sense. Like I was singing the pieces and I loved the pieces and I was worshiping and I was doing the things, but I wasn't singing through the theme. Last year, with Through the Storm, Lead Me to the Light, I was so emotionally invested in that particular theme. And it's funny because we had been doing that music for so long and I knew that there was the theme going from darkness to light. And I knew that, but I remember there was one performance in Florida when we performed at the nursing home and it was like so like beautiful and fun. And the acoustics were terrible and we couldn't hear each other and we couldn't see you all the time. And we were just, you know, but we were bopping and it was so much fun. And after that, I remember I came up to you after the concert and I was like, wait, I get it. I get it. Like this is where the light, because we hadn't talked explicitly about each song fitting into the theme. Yes. And I was like, wait, no, this is where the light enters and this is where I'm accepting it. And this is where I am blessed. Like these are all of the things. And then I could actually sing through the theme for the rest of the tour. And it was like an entire new level of understanding that. And so I think there are levels to every program. Like there's like the surface, like, yes, dark to light. And then there are those deeper levels where it's like, oh, I get it. I get it. So I think that was really, really huge.
Yeah. Thank you, Maggie. How about you, Lily?
So I have been very fortunate to see you, Dr. Potter, actually grow from my freshman year, which was also your first year, to this welcome to the pandemic. So I love how every year we have a retreat or we have a gathering of some sort and we establish our goals musically, but also through like this hierarchy of, messages and themes of what we're trying to, as an ensemble, as musicians, as Christians, as how we're trying to convey this message of the gospel. And I agree with Maggie. There have been some things that you've done a great job of setting up the framework of this is how we're telling the story. But there's just enough time, there's just enough room and creativity for us to, or as ensemble singers, to sing the music and then make those little connections here and there, because the framework of the music has been set out. Therefore, as independent singers, we can make connections of where this light is coming from, and that last, specifically in regards to that last concert. So I think that it's really wonderful to be able to have a guide, but also there's room for individual understanding and interpretation.
Yeah. That's my next question that I'll let Abby and Maggie respond to based on what you just said, Lily. I think my instincts are for, there are times when I can't help myself but sort of explain my thinking in, I included this piece in this spot in this concert because this is where this happens. There are times I can't help myself but explain it. But I think my instinct is to let each individual singer discover that progression, that emotional progression themselves. Is that good or is that bad? What do you think, Abby?
Hi. I don't necessarily think there's a good or a bad. You're kind of reminding me of, do you know that debate back in like the 1800s where Schumann and all his cronies were like, no programmatic music because it's trash. And then Wagner and all of his cronies were like, we're going to write programs and you can't do anything about it. And they kind of fought over it. I feel like that's the constant debate even now is, do we let the audience make their own meaning? Do we let the performers make their own meaning? Or do we tell them what we think? And I think the answer is just yes. Like, it's kind of like an outline. You give us a guide of what to think of, but then we give meaning in the details. And I think that's a really great balance of how it should be. And I've appreciated that because it's nice to know where you're coming from and what you were thinking when you picked the piece, because then when I see you make certain like faces or motions with your hands, I'm like, well, this is what he's thinking. So let me bring this out that I know I can do to contribute to this feeling. Like we did this piece Till the Day, and there's this one phrase like, I love all that are dying, and the altos have it. And I was always like, I need to bring this out because this is what Dr. Potter's thinking. And so I need to contribute to that. So it helps in some ways. And then in other ways, you give us enough space to kind of think, okay, this is what this means, so that we can imbue our own emotion and our own engagement into the pieces. I think it's a delicate balance. I think you strike it well. And I think it has to be both. It can't be one or another, because our audiences can't go in totally clueless. They can't not know what's going on, because then they don't have a connection to the program. But also we need to give them space to think afterwards of, what did this all mean to me now that I've left and I've processed it?
Yes. Yeah, that's so true. And not to take up more of our time, I hate talking so much in a single episode, but there's a spectrum of approaches to that very question that Abby just talked about. There are really heavy-handed conductors who bash their ensembles over the head with every thought that comes through it. And then there are conductors who are who are so averse to that they're almost opaque. It's like, what is he thinking? I don't understand why he's the why. I don't understand the why. And gosh, it is a tricky balance to find, and it's one that every conductor has to find for themselves. Maggie, getting back to the question that I asked Abby, is it good or is it bad to sort of to explain programming?
I think when Abby said that there's a delicate balance, she hit the nail on the head. I think there is no sense in being fully opaque in my opinion. What does that achieve? Like, I don't get that. And it's very clear that you kind of, in a relational setting, you have to be vulnerable if you want the other person to be vulnerable. Like, you have to be willing to share pieces of yourself if you want your ensemble to share pieces of themselves. Yes. And so I think that that's really incredibly important. For some pieces, laying it all out and explaining it can be good. I don't think that all the time that's good. I find that it helps to know where you're coming from, just so I know, oh, okay, so this is kind of the experience that he's drawing on. From that experience, he's drawing on this longing, for example. Okay, like, what do I long for in my life? And then it's like, then I can connect it to my own life, but I see where you're coming from. And I think that that is really important, but there has to be space for us to discover how we connect to it ourselves. Otherwise, we're musical robots. It doesn't, like, you say, oh, you're meant to be sad here. Oh, you're meant to be hopeful here. Oh, like, this is supposed to happen. It's like, okay, well, I can draw on those emotions, but I can't just come up with that. Yes. I have to connect it back to something in my life. So, yeah.
You don't want to be instructed what to feel when?
I mean, no.
I love it. Phil, how about you? You answer your own question that you asked.
So it's to go back to my original question. I'm trying to think. I think it was that first tour, as I was studying the music, and looking at the words. I remember the first piece we did was a pretty, one of the big pieces we did was Bronze Triptych, I think. And, all right, bye, Megan. It was Bronze Triptych, and in that piece, the range of emotions. I don't know if you know it, Abby and Lillian, but just the range in that piece alone, regardless of what the rest of the program was like. It's like, man, there's a connection there. And so to the second question, I definitely agree that it is a delicate balance. And as an educator, like you want your students to kind of come to that conclusion on their own, or maybe they come to a different conclusion, right? And God forbid that happens, and they think something different from you, right, as a teacher. But I mean, that's the beautiful, that's what we want as educators. I think I'm gonna stop talking, but
yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I appreciate that a lot, Phil, because that was your first. Phil is talking about my previous job.
Yes. Yes, at Delta State.
Phil, what was the name of that program?
I'm looking at it. Let's see. Come Sweet Peace.
Come Sweet Peace, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so that was a very special program for me as well. Divided into 4 sections, as is my tendency. The first section called Lift Up Your Heads. The second called War Shall Cease and On Earth Peace. Then we switched, after the intermission, into talking about love and celebrating the musical heritage of that region of the country where Phil and I were. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, there's so much great music in the world. It is just, I'll go back to what I said before. If it doesn't teach unique skills, provide unique experiences, and fit the theme, I promise there's something out there that will. Yeah. Phil, we are actually this amazing conversation has actually taken us to the time for final segment.
Yes.
So are you ready to move on?
I think we can move on.
All right.
Unless
We still have Abby and Lily with us. Are you two willing to play along with final segments?
Let's go.
All right. Awesome. So we begin our final segments each week with just reflecting very quickly on a current event, something in the news that has struck us. So, Phil, what's your current event?
I'm going to say two quick ones without any comments, okay? So my first one is the death of a gospel legend, Rance Allen. Look up the name. Look up the music. Gospel music legend. And then my second is democracy in Hong Kong. I think this happened 2 weeks ago, but all of the what do you call it, opposition party in Hong Kong resigned in protest over the removal of some members. And so I'm just really praying for Hong Kong and China right now.
Yeah, no, it is. I have some friends who are from Hong Kong, and it's very disappointing. The West is too weak right now to intervene, and the Chinese Communist Party, they're not supposed to be doing this stuff until the year 2047. That is the treaty. So I'm very sad to see Hong Kongers' rights being stripped. So, 27 years before they are supposed to be. Abby, what's in the news that is on your mind?
I was not prepared to have to go next.
You don't have to provide the current event.
No, I will. I want to play along. I don't want to be a scrub. I want to be good.
There are no scrubs on here.
I don't know. I don't know if this is like a current event per se, but Belarus is still having issues with their rightful president. You guys know the story about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a real shame. She's still on the run. She's still hiding from the government because they won't let her take over her presidency. And it's a real shame. We have some missionaries in my church who are serving right next to Belarus, and they've been in and out of the country before everything got too crazy. And so, Belarus has always been on my heart, like for about a year now. I just kind of pray for everything that's going on there, but I follow it. I check in every now and then, and it's just not looking good. So
yeah. Thanks, Abby. That's so true. Lillian, how about you?
I am keeping watch of the COVID count, specifically in Monroe County. I know that there's a lot of schools that, specifically my one charter elementary placement that I was at, they were trying to figure out what was going to happen if they went into a different color of COVID, the New York system of green, yellow, orange, red. But since they're a nonprofit charter school, they're not funded by the government. And if they're asking people to get COVID testing, it's like so many questions of who's going to pay for it, where's the transportation, are the students going to have consent from their parents? So I'm not sure how that's going. So I'm definitely praying over education. A lot of the teachers, they're going to have to change entire curriculums with a snap of a finger, and that's just going to be crazy. And of course, like our political climate of the United States right now, I just really hope that people seek to understand first before knowing, if that makes sense. I really pray that people seek out people first rather than situations. So
yeah. Oh, that's a great word. People over situations.
Thank you.
Yes. And my current event, real quick, I'm just super hopeful that the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines that have between 90 and 95% effectiveness will get us past this pandemic sooner, faster. Let's.
Yes, I think we can all
I
sign up
will.
on that.
I mean, even though I've already taken my experimental coronavirus vaccine, I'll sign up for another one. Just give me the shots that will let me go back to life as usual. So, all right. We then end every episode with, what did you learn today? So, Phil, what did you learn today during our conversation?
Yeah, Abby. I'm sorry. I get my students' name mixed up all the time, and it's. I feel like it got worse this year. But Megan shared the thought of singing through the theme. I thought that was really good. I mean, yeah, we can get the ideas, but just like seeing the connection throughout all of the music, I thought that was really good.
Yeah. How about you, Abby?
I think I learned a lot about how you pick music specifically, but how to program a choral concert, which is really good because, I mean, as a student of yours, I see these programmatic concerts and I'm like, well, that's cool. There's a theme, but how does he pick which genres? How does he pick which languages? So I got more of an insight into that, which is cool. And hopefully gives me a leg up on vocal methods next semester,
Yes. Well, and we spend quite a bit of time in choral methods talking about repertoire, choosing repertoire, et cetera, et cetera. So you'll get a lot of what you heard today again and more deep.
Can I have bonus points?
You get bonus points in my heart.
Oh, okay.
Lily, what did you learn today?
Oh man, I learned that Phil's got a great laugh, and it's just so happy to hear it.
Yes.
I love Phil's laugh. He's so funny. I'm really glad that we took time again today to just really emphasize the importance of student-teacher collaboration and understanding of a musical idea and interpersonal interpretation.
Yes, I love that. Mine, I'm going to piggyback right off of you, Lily. You talk about the importance of that student-teacher relationship. And what did I learn today? Well, I didn't learn anything new, but I was reminded that I have the best students, both present and former, in the world.
Aw, thank you.
That's right.
All right, Phil, anything else for the good of the order?
No, that is it. I mean, I think it goes without saying, ladies, you all are invited back anytime.
Absolutely. We should do this again. This was really fun. And I hope that for our audience, it's fun to listen to.
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you, Abby. Thank you, Lillian. And thanks to Megan, who had to hop off the call. This episode was so much better because you have, real world examples of what I then sermonized about for too long.
Well, thank you so much for inviting us, Phil and Dr. Potter. It was such a wonderful time. And when we got the email, I was so excited. I was like, oh, I'm so glad that we're able to, share our thoughts as aspiring artists and music educators.
Absolutely.
Yeah. This was really cool.
Well, thanks.
It's bucket list thing. We got to be on a podcast.
That's right. Make sure to like and subscribe, and then you download this episode that comes out on Saturday so that you can listen to yourself. All right. Well, then, I will say bye for now.
Adios.
See ya.
Bye.